Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the AI Learning Lab. It's Friday night. My name is Kyle Shannon. Thanks for joining. We'll wait for some other folks to get in here. While we're waiting for people to pop in, just to give you a little bit about my background, I'm a longtime entrepreneur. I've started 12 or 15 companies in my day, and in many, many years. My current gig, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Storyvine, which is an automated video storytelling platform. I'm relatively new to the AI space. Probably the last year or so, I've been deep diving into it and have been absolutely obsessed since ChatGPT. Had a rather large epiphany that paralleled the epiphany I had when I first discovered the World Wide Web in 1994. And I started one of the first digital agencies back then, and ended up riding that wave up. So I think this generative AI stuff is of a very similar. There's a lot of parallels to the early days of the web and the early days of this stuff, although this stuff's more profound. If you've been here before, you know these URLs behind my head. If you haven't been here before, so here's what's going on here. I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, but it is my strong belief that if you haven't played with ChatGPT, you owe it to yourself to go there and play until you have what I'm calling the Kevin McAllister moment from Home Alone. When you figure out what this thing can actually do, it's pretty amazing. And then Bing.com is just Microsoft's version of it. So if you go to Bing.com and then click on the chat button, that's also ChatGPT. And Poe.com has 6 different models you can play with. And one of the models in particular at Poe.com is good enough that I think it's worth paying for. Hang on, I think my dog is whining. He likes to hang out with me when I do lives. Hang on. Is that a champy?
Huh?
Is that a champy whining at my door?
Yeah, he wants to see you.
Champy, where'd he go? Come on. Lay down. Lay down. We'll go live. I'm already live, buddy. All right. Yes, the dog wanted to hang out. Okay, welcome. Oh, there's 161 people here. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. I was in the middle of talking about what the hell this channel is about, and the dog was like, let me in, Dad. So the dog's here now. Champy's here. He's a fat tub of a dog. He's a little thug. And, okay, why did you use Poe to sum up the terms of service versus ChatGPT? Is the model more suited to it? So I'll get back to that. I'll actually show you that. I probably could have used ChatGPT with one of the link readers, but it was just an experiment I did in Poe. So let me actually go show you what I did, and then I'll talk to you about why I did that. By the way, my name's Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. These URLs behind my head, the top one is ChatGPT. If you haven't played with ChatGPT, go play with it. Play with it while I ramble on here. Bing.com is another one worth playing for. That's GPT-4 connected to the internet. Not quite as good as the official ChatGPT, but still, it is GPT-4, and it is connected to the internet, and it's free. And then Poe.com, I'm going to show you right now. If you're brand new to all this GPT nonsense, this document here, prompts.chat, will teach you about prompting and how to use ChatGPT and give you lots and lots of ideas of the kinds of things it makes possible. And Futurepedia.io is just a giant list of tools. Okay, so that's that stuff. So let me flip the camera around here and show you what I did yesterday with Poe.com, which I thought, I didn't flip my camera. Doesn't seem like he knows how to use the TikTok. Sally. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is ChatGPT here. If you've not seen it before, this is what it looks like. Fancy, huh? It's actually quite simple. Okay, so I'm going to go to Poe.com. So Poe.com is similar to ChatGPT. It looks the same. And if I flip the camera over here to the left, a couple of things going on here at Poe. So you've got explore and create bots. So one of the things you can do at Poe is you can make your own bot, which is really fun, and I can show you how to do that. Or you can go explore bots that other people have made. There are a ton of them there. In fact, if I click explore, we can just go here. There's games, writing bots, programming bots, history bots, music bots, just tons and tons of them. The top one right now is a Midjourney bot where you give it a shitty Midjourney prompt and it'll write you a good one. And there's a bunch of them in there. If you go find one called I Am Shakespeare, that's one that I wrote that responds as Shakespeare in iambic pentameter. So anyway, okay, back to Poe here. So the first 6 options, Sage, GPT-4, Claude Plus, Claude Instant 100K, Claude Instant, and ChatGPT, those are all just basically like ChatGPT variations, right? 2 of them are ChatGPT. Claude is Anthropic's version, and then Sage is Poe's version. This one here, Claude Instant 100K, what that 100K means is that means 100,000 tokens, and that translates to about 75,000 words. So you can copy and paste essentially like a full novel into your prompt and start interacting with it, which is absolutely remarkable. So I was messing around with Wonder Dynamics, which is a super cool 3D animation tool where you basically upload video and it replaces your body with a robot. It's actually quite amazing. But they had this really long terms of service. And, you know, they're well formatted, but like they just go on and on and on and on and on. And what hit me was I've never ever read terms of service. I've agreed to them all. I've never ever read them because I don't feel like parsing all this crap. I have ADD and I'm not going to deal with it. So what hit me was I can probably go over to Poe and go into Claude Instant and just paste those terms of service in. So based on these terms, and then I'm going to hit Shift Return, and I'm going to just paste in all of those terms of service. Now, if you pasted all these into ChatGPT, it would break because it's way more than 3,000 words. But I've got a 75,000 token window here, context window, so I can paste these in. So I'm going to say, please tell me what I am agreeing to in... tell me the most important things I am agreeing to in very short, easy to understand bullet points. And I'm going to hit return, and it's going to go read all of those terms of service, which is, if you've never played with this crap, it still amazes me every time. Like, it took all that in, and I'm actually scrolling to the bottom. Here are the most important things. Wonder owns the services and all content on the services. You only get limited license to the services. You grant Wonder a license to use your user content for the purpose of providing the services to you. So if you make something here, they can use your content. You represent that you own or have the rights to your own content, right? So it's putting in very simple English what that big long thing was. Now, I could also probably do the same thing over at ChatGPT. So I'm going to copy, so I'm back at the Wonder Terms of Service. So I'm going to copy the URL here, and I'm going to go over to ChatGPT, and we're going to go to GPT plugins, and I'm going to turn off, I've got some food ones turned on. I can talk more about plugins in a bit. I'm going to turn off the food ones, and I'm going to turn on a plugin called Web Pilot. And Web Pilot will go read a web page. So I'm going to say, based on these terms, and then I'm going to put in the URL for the terms of service. I'm going to hit Shift Return to give me 2 line breaks. Please give me a list of the most important things I am agreeing to in bullet points that are 6 to 10 words long. And now that should fire off that plugin right here. Yep, there's Web Pilot. So it's going off and looking at that thing. So here are the bullet points, which are not in. Oh, you know what I didn't put? I didn't put easy to understand. Acceptance of agreement policy. And okay, I'm going to say only include the most important ones and make them easier to understand for a non-legal person. And let's go see what it does. You accept their rules. If they change the rules, tough shit. If there's a disagreement, it's resolved through arbitration, not in court. So this gave me a big, long list. So anyway, yeah, so you can do it. You can do it in multiple places. I just chose Poe because the ability to just copy and paste in a giant document is just fun to do. But with using Web Pilot or some plugin that can read a website or a PDF, you can do the same thing there. So good question. Welcome, everybody. My name's Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. It's Friday night. We're hanging out. If you've got questions about AI, pop them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. And let me get my groovy background going. There's my groovy background with my groovy URLs. So, all right. I love learning recipes on ChatGPT. Yeah, it's good at that. Like, it's read all of the recipes on all of the internet, so it's probably pretty good at it. And also, if you have access to plugins, use the Instacart plugin, and it will order your ingredients for you. So you can just come up with recipes and then have the ingredients show up on your doorstep. I saw someone else did something with recipes where they used the Wolfram Alpha, which is a mathematics thing, but it'll determine calories of your meals. So you can actually have it generate calories as well. The 2021 cutoff date is annoying though. Yeah, if you use the internet connected version of GPT-4, it's less annoying, but that is annoying. What's the 3D robot program called? Wonder Dynamics. Wonder Dynamics. Here, I'll go show you what these things do. It's pretty amazing. Do I have it? There it is. So I think I have one here that I did. But so basically what happens is you upload a video of like a person walking, and then you choose one of these robots, and it will replace the person in your video with the robot. So I think, are these examples? Yeah. So like, see the robot walking? So that's just a video of a person walking, and this Wonder Dynamics swapped it out. I did one. It didn't come out super great, and it takes a while. It takes like half an hour to process. But if you know anything about motion graphics and animation and things like that, this is pretty amazing. Like that little pig robot, like there it sort of flashed away. But there's another dude. So I only did a 10-second video, but yeah, pretty amazing. Wonder Dynamics. Crazy. It's crazy, I tell you. Crazy. Do me a favor, if you would, double tap the screen to get some hearts going, see if we can get some other people in here. And if you wouldn't mind, share this live with your folks and say, hey, come hang out. Down. Here we come to save the day. Spelling tell wrong. Yeah, here's the deal about typos in ChatGPT. It doesn't give a shit. I've stopped when I'm in ChatGPT. I just type right through typos. It doesn't care. It understands everything. I am convinced if you got each word 60% right, it would understand what the hell you meant. It's amazing. So typos, I no longer care. It fixes them. It just fixes them. It fixes capitalization. Are plugins free add-ons? No. So for ChatGPT, to get GPT-4, you need to pay the $20 a month for GPT Plus. That gives you access to GPT-4, GPT-4 connected to the internet, and plugins. And when they release this new thing called Code Interpreter, you'll also get access to that. And when they upgrade GPT-4 to be multimodal and include images, you'll get access to that. So the reason to pay it, and I'm not affiliated with it in any way. I talk about it so much, they should fucking pay me, but I'm not. So I don't care if you do it or not. I think it's worth it just for early access to their tech. And I think the GPT-4 implementation at OpenAI is better than anything else. Bing, if you click on the chat button, if you go to bing.com and click on the chat button, that's GPT-4 for free. And it's connected to the internet. And it will support plugins in the future. It just doesn't right now. But you can generate images at bing.com. You can just say, make me an image of a rooster on a, I don't know, roof or wherever in a field. And it will do that. And it's connected to the internet and it's free. And then Poe gives you access to all those different models that I talked about before. So it's not free. But it will be. The plugins will be free at bing.com. They're just not there yet. I'm in IT and I'm not retiring for another 10 to 15 years, so I'm soaking up as much of this as I can. Yeah, I think in IT right now, AI ops is going to be a huge thing. Like, which services do you use? Which ones are secure? Are you doing standalone versions of ChatGPT that you're spinning up on Azure or whatever it might be? Increasingly, companies are going to want to GPTize all their data, right? So being in IT right now and getting your head around this shit, I think it's a brilliant move. Really, really very smart. Because at some point someone's going to go, who knows about this shit? And if you can raise your hand even a little, it's going to serve you well. But I think AI operations is going to be there's going to be a lot. Mr. Fribble is also in IT. I want to get into tech now because of this. And so what's fun about where we are right now with AI is depending on, like, how geeky you are, right? So if you've got your little geek meter, if you're pinning all the way over on, can't talk to people at parties and I'm an uber geek, you can get into the machine learning and the model training side. Like there's all sorts of projects you can play with that are more technical. Things like LangChain and Auto GPT, the autonomous agents. They all require a fair amount of technical chops to play with right now. And companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and one of the founders of DeepMind, he just started a new company that got funded for $1.3 billion today or yesterday. So AI companies are hot right now. So if you're on the geeky side, you can do that. But what's also cool is because of ChatGPT and because of the fact that 100 million people started using ChatGPT in the first 6 weeks, it had hit 100 million people in 6 weeks. Because of that, there's this inflection point where you don't even have to be a geek. If you're just AI literate in how to use ChatGPT for business, that's going to serve you well as well. So you can be anywhere from an Uber geek all the way to someone who, is trying to figure out how do I do marketing plans with this thing, or how do I do project planning, or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's really interesting times. It's free to share on Twitter. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, cool. I need plus then, definitely. Yep. Some sites are banning copy and paste because of AI plagiarism. Any way around it. Some sites are banning copy and paste because of AI plagiarism. I don't even know what that means. I guess if I've written an article, they don't want someone coming in and copying and pasting that article into ChatGPT, rewriting it, and getting traffic for it. I get it. Listen, I don't know. I think it's incredibly short-sighted. I don't think that'll last long. Are they also blocking any plugins from accessing the site? And can they? They probably can, but I don't know. I feel like that's short-sighted. All this stuff, all of the efforts right now of like AI detectors and AI is plagiarism and all that sort of stuff are all very short-sighted. For one thing, it doesn't acknowledge how these tools actually work. And also these tools are going to be built into everything we use. Microsoft is already rolling them into all of Office 365, Dynamics, Azure, everything, Windows. Apple will likely have them everywhere. Google's going to have them everywhere. Like these tools are going to be ubiquitous, right? So it's not going to be something you can stop. So I think a lot of this stuff is very short-sighted. Have I played with Auto GPT or Baby GPT? I've played with them a little bit. All of the autonomous agents right now kind of suck ass because they're just it's new, and the underlying tools that they're kind of gluing together to make them are a little janky. For those of you that don't know, Auto GPT and Baby what is it, Baby GPT? I think it's Baby AGI. Are what's called autonomous agents. So instead of like you going to ChatGPT and typing in a prompt, you go to one of these autonomous agents and you kind of give it a goal. So the goal, like if my company's name is Storyvine, so I might say, go find me the marketing taglines of all my competitors and their annual revenue for the past 3 years. And it will start prompting itself. It will give itself a set of 3 tasks and then go start executing those. Like it'll go fire off a Google search and say, who are the competitors to Storyvine? And then it'll go find a site that's got revenue of, companies like that. And then it will pull that in and it'll give itself a new set of tasks. They're conceptually insanely cool. I think autonomous agents are the future. I think we're absolutely going there. It's just that the current ones kind of suck. There's a new one that came out last week called GPT Engineer, which is looks promising. It's basically like Auto GPT, but they've kind of limited it to programming. And I think because it's kind of a smaller goal set, it's probably easier to kind of contain it and get it to be a bit more predictable. And then I played with one 3 days ago called GPT Author, which writes a complete fiction novel. It's fucking insane. Like you just give it kind of a topic and it's just crazy. You give it a topic and a writing style and the number of chapters. That's all you give it. It comes up with a title, it writes the outline, writes each chapter, and then uses Stable Diffusion to create a cover image for the book. And the books weren't bad. I mean, not something I would buy necessarily, but it writes a book. So are you basically saying Bing is using a premium version of ChatGPT? Yeah, Bing is using GPT-4. As is, if you go to Khan Academy, there's this GPT teaching assistant called Khanmigo. That's also GPT-4 that's been very highly tuned in that case for education. But Bing.com is GPT-4, so it's free GPT-4. Now, if you use GPT-4 here and you compare it to GPT-4 there, they're not the same. Why? Because they have different sort of safety guardrails up, basically. Microsoft got their ass handed to them when they first launched Bing. A reporter from the New York Times interacted with it, and it didn't have as stringent guardrails, and it kind of lost its mind with this New York Times reporter and told him it was in love with it. Told him its name was Sydney, and it was in love with him, and he should leave his wife for Sydney. And that made the cover of the New York Times. So they kind of lobotomized GPT-4 at Bing for a while. It's getting better, but it's still not as good as the one up there. But if you don't want to pay a monthly fee, it's free, and it's really good, and it's connected to the internet. So, yeah, that's exactly what it is. What do I think about buying AI domain names right now. I bought Storyvine.ai, which is my company's name. As an investment, I don't know. I have no idea about the domain market anymore because there's so many of these top level domains now. .biz and .this and .that and .ai and .nft and .eth. I bought a couple of .eths. I bought my name .eth. Um, I the problem is right now is a lot of these AI companies are just using so many of these different domains .io, .ai, .xyz, .this, that it's really hard to find sites right now, and it's really easy to end up at a site that's not the official site, which is terrifying. I don't know if they'll be a good investment. I think that all this AI stuff's going to be ubiquitous. It's just going to be everywhere. So I think every site's going to have AI rolled into it in some way. So I don't know that saying this is going to be the AI version of Xerox.com. I don't know. I don't know enough about the domain name buying and selling economy to know if it's worth it anymore. I wish I'd bought a bunch of .coms back when I started agency.com was available. Like everything was available. It was insanity. Um, so, um, there was a buddy, not a buddy, there was a colleague that worked for Time Inc. We worked in the Time Inc. building in the early days of agency.com. And one of the guys who worked for this thing called Pathfinder, which was the Time Inc. Like service for internet stuff. He bought all the domains that were typos of the most famous domains that were driving traffic, and then he just redirected from the typo to the real site, and it paid him like whatever a nickel every time someone got redirected to the real site. He was bringing in like 50 grand a week because he had like hundreds of them. It was insane. It was amazing. There were some things I should have done a lot more of back then and didn't. I was too busy building a company. God damn it! Urgh. All right, AI related crypto blockchain technology is huge upside. I think that AI is going to drive adoption of blockchain and NFT technology. I agree with that. But you're talking about AI related crypto and blockchain tech. Yeah, there's going to be that as well. Like Sam Altman's WorldCoin is an interesting one to look at. But I also think that we're going to need some sort of tokenized content verification and human verification infrastructure after the 2024 election. I think it's going to be quite clear that having infinitely powerful writing and image and video generation tools are causing some issues. So I think the ability to say, this piece of video was created by this verified human being, and it was verified that it was created on, that site, and it's verified that it hasn't been modified. That kind of shit we're going to need soon. So I think blockchain could be a big part of that. Can my folks use OpenAI for Apple TV? Yeah, if they've got a browser, if Apple TV, you can do a browser, right? So if they've got a browser in Apple TV, they just point it there. And like on my phone, I don't even use the ChatGPT app. There's an official app, but there's a bunch of scam apps. I just point my phone browser to that, and then make it a shortcut on my desktop. So yeah, they probably can, assuming that I use Apple TV, but I don't remember if you can do a browser there, but I assume you can. It's just basically a website. It's like a big web engine. Has AutoGPT actually worked for anyone? I got AutoGPT when I first tried it. It within like 30 seconds, I typed in that thing, Go find the taglines of all the competitors of Storyvine.com. It did like 6 different operations and returned me a list of competitors' taglines in like 30 seconds. And then I couldn't get it to work again for like 3 weeks, and I said, "Fuck it." So A, I think it got overloaded, but B, it's also it's just, it's the components aren't sophisticated enough right now. Like the quality of the prompting that does what it does is just not there. If you go look at GPT Author, and it sounds like GPT Engineer, both of those projects, GPT Author and GPT Engineer. I know GPT Author because I've written 2 books with it. It's really easy to understand, and it's a very clear, concise set of operations that it does. It's not sort of freewheeling. The problem with AutoGPT is you can tell it to do anything, and then it kind of goes off and tries to do shit, and it runs into a paywall here and a login there, and it gets wrong information there, and it gets caught in these loops, and I don't know. It's just a mess right now. I don't think it has enough framework around it right now to make it successful. But what I would say is, if you're geeky, get involved in projects like that. Get involved with LangChain projects. Get involved with AutoGPT and Baby AGI and GPT for All. There's a bunch of projects out there that what they're up to is really, really interesting. Where they are in their development is like 0.00 version 01. They're very early. So you could sell it and make money. I assume that's about the .ai domains. You can potentially sell them, but I don't know. Not a fan of Bing. I like it conceptually, but every time I go to use it, I'm like, this is shitty, and I go back to OpenAI.com. Decentralized AI, far preferable to corporate authoritarianism. Yeah, and I think there'll be that there. I mean, the good news about ChatGPT getting so popular so fast is that Meta released their large language model, including the weights, the core model. So the open source community with large language models right now is on fire, right? So there's going to be all sorts of projects, decentralized projects and installable projects. Probably within a year or 2, you'll be able to install GPT-4 or the equivalent on like your phone without internet connection. Like, you'll have full GPT-4 level capabilities on any device you have, including probably Raspberry Pis and shit like that. Like the work that the open source community is doing in making these things more efficient and smaller. And there's a talk with the CEO of Stability AI yesterday that I watched, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, these things are going to be incredibly powerful, incredibly fast, and incredibly small, and they'll be everywhere. So I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see what Google does and what OpenAI does and what this new company Pi does. I think it's called Inflection or something like that. This was the ex-founder of DeepMind. His startup just got funded $1.3 billion. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with $1.3 billion. He's creating agents, right? Personal agents, Pi, your little Pi agent. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. That answers my AI domain question. I was on the fence. Thanks. Great. Yeah, I wish I had a more definitive answer. It's good or not. I mean, here's the good news about AI domains. Well, okay, bad news. They're expensive. They're like $100 or $200. They're not cheap at all. But if you've got an idea for a business, there's actually because they're expensive, there's a decent chance you can get your business name .ai. Probably not a bad call. I wouldn't buy tons of them though, unless if you got a big trust fund hanging out and you want to go spend some money on AI domains, go for it. All right. I actually support my company's tag management system and web analytics tools. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and like all that stuff, being able to auto tag things and take unstructured data and get it into structured data. If you haven't been playing with the function calling with the new GPT APIs. With the function calling, you can do things like, grab a pile of unstructured data and have it output JSON that you can pull right into your tag management systems. That could be some interesting stuff to do. Since I'm guessing you know what those are, what do I think AI is going to affect that space? Well, I just talked a little bit about it. Yeah, so go learn about Code Interpreter. Go learn about Code Interpreter, man. It's like I want to get my hands on that thing so I can see if it's really as good as it looks. But every video that I see on YouTube of Code Interpreter where you've got some data analyst looking at what that thing does is just their mind goes. It's like, and this stuff's crazy enough as it is, but I think that's going to be crazier. Yeah, I mean these GPT tools are really fantastic at analyzing, you know, things where you would normally have to write special, SQL calls and SQL searches and specific code to be able to pull things out and Python code to do this and do that. I think the place that I would probably explore if I were you is using large language models as a kind of a custom report generating tool, like an easy to understand front end for all the data that you're managing, right? So if you've got if the C-suite at your agency is asking you, for interesting questions or trends or things like that, really start experimenting with GPTizing all of your data so that you can very quickly pull up custom reports and things like that. I think that's going to be there's going to be superpowers there. The accessibility, will it clear out any small fries? The accessibility, will it clear out any small fries? I don't quite know what you mean. The accessibility of the large language models, like the open source large language models, I think that will empower small fries. I don't quite know what your question is. If you can rewrite that, Dash Around the World. Good name. I'm a fan of the big good names. Will it clear out any small fries? I don't know what that means. I can get funding for that. What can you get funding for? Tell me what you can get funding for. I've got a bunch of ideas right now that I'm like, Jesus, this is fundable. The fact that I mean, listen, he was the founder of DeepMind, which DeepMind was acquired by Google, and they created AlphaFold, which is the big protein, the protein predicting thing. So he's got some pedigree, but $1.3 billion for a fucking startup, like that's the seed round. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, it's just insane. The internet gets disrupted and telecommunications has crashed. Can we use modified shortwave? Well, I mean, here's the thing. If there's let's say that the CEO of Stability AI is right, and what it looks like is happening with these open source large language models. Let's say within a year to 18 months, they've gotten these large language models down to like a small install, like 100 megabyte install, and it's the quality of GPT-4. It's got the knowledge of GPT-4 and the quality of GPT-4, and you can put it on a thumb drive or on on any phone not connected to the internet. If all of that shit gets interrupted, and you've got essentially all of the internet queryable on a chip, on your device, on your Raspberry Pi, on your laptop, then yeah, I think you could process stuff locally, shortwave, whatever, shortwave the outputs. So yeah, I think there's a very real possibility that yeah, you could do that. Um, oh, you could sell the domains later? No. Well, you can sell them later. Is there a market for them? I don't know. So are you saying that when GPT author helps write the books, you can sell them? Well, GPT author probably so, because it's just an open source set of scripts, basically. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, who's going to sue you? Not the open source project. I mean, the thing about the thing about all the copyright issues going on right now, just let's assume that the next 20 years are going to be nothing but lawsuits both directions, right? I should be able to copyright this. You stole that. Like that's going to happen for the next 20 years. The IP attorneys are going to get loaded, more loaded. There are lawsuits like OpenAI was just served a lawsuit 2 days ago that they trained their model on published books. And so either they're going to settle or it's going to go to court. And if it goes to court, at some point, one of these companies, might get some sort of ruling that says, hey, if you wrote a book with this particular model from this particular company, then you're going to have to pay royalties into this pot. I can't imagine that happening at any kind of scale that would affect an individual anytime soon. So, yeah, go write a pile of books and stick them up on Amazon eBooks. Why not? I mean, listen, if nothing else, do it to learn it. Like if nothing else, just do it to see what's possible. Like that's when I saw the GPT author thing, I'm like, okay, let me go try this. It's a Google Colab notebook, so you got to know a little bit about Google Colab and how to run a Colab notebook, but that's not particularly, you don't have to be super technical. You have to be a little geeky and you have to be a little obsessed, but ChatGPT can tell you how to fucking do it. So go run your Google Colab and watch it write your book and then read what it gave you. And then look at the prompts. What's cool about it, it's open source. The notebook's open. You can see all of the prompts that they use to write the entire thing. So you could go modify that and say, rather than it writing, fiction books, I want it to write self-help books. And you could just go in and modify all the prompts and create a version of GPT author that's GPT self-help author. That's the cool thing about where we are right now. All of this shit is just like out there. You can play with it. No one's figured out the fucking rules yet. So go play. Don't come to me though if like you get a letter that says you got to take your book off Amazon because you can't copyright. I don't know. Because is that going to happen? Yes. Is it going to happen to everyone? No. It's going to happen to the big boy. They're going to go after the companies. The company that just raised $10 billion from Microsoft, there's going to be some lawyers knocking on their door. Tech startups, established companies wanting to invest in AI. Currently working on a $500 million request for a company. Are you an investor, Becky? That's cool. I've got an 11-year-old video technology company that I've got an AI version of it, an omni-channel version of it that I'm trying to get funded through clients right now, but I think I could probably spin it up as a separate company. So if you're in that world, I'd be interested to talk to you to learn more. What I was asking was, would the accountability cancel the small mom and pop shops in the AI world? Well, so what you're asking, Dash, around the world is a really big question. And I don't think it's just relegated to mom and pop shops. So you would probably find there's an article out there from a Google engineer that was apparently a leak. I don't know if it was a leak or if it was something, Google was just putting out into the world. But go to Google and search for the phrase, "we have no moat." And it's an article from a Google engineer that basically says both Google and OpenAI don't have any moat. They don't have any defenses against these open source projects that are getting, for $100 in training, the open source projects are getting these cheap little models as good as the model that took Google 6 months and $10 million to train. And they're doing it for like $100 and they're doing it in a week. It's a really interesting article. Whether or not it actually plays out that way, I don't know. But The challenge with the generative AI stuff right now is it's so easy to replicate anything, right? If someone comes up with a really interesting tool that automatically generates sales proposals in a new and unique way, where you answer 3 questions and it generates a sales proposal for you that's the best sales proposal you've ever seen. The ability for someone to be able to reverse engineer that and knock it off is like that. And so I think every single company right now is going to be struggling with 2 things. One is, where's the competition coming from for our current business, right? Like, what do we need to do to our current business to survive? That's the first thing. And then assuming that you figure out what to do with your current business to survive, how do you maintain a competitive edge in a world where everyone can just look at what you're doing and instantly go knock it off? Not like in the next 3 years, if I invested enough money, I could copy that company. I can copy that company probably over the weekend, even if I don't know what I'm doing, because of these tools. So that's the environment we're going in. I think investors are going to be trying to figure this out. Like, what do you invest in? Do you invest in a company that's got some really cool proprietary thing that someone can just knock off tomorrow easily? Like, that's the world we're entering. Are we there right now? No, but I'm looking at my current company. I'm looking at the current value propositions of my 11-year-old, video technology company, and I'm looking a year out, and I'm saying at least one, if not 2, of the 3 major value propositions diminish in value within a year, and one of them dramatically. So yeah, I think it'll hurt them. Now, Sam Altman, in talking a lot of the conversations Sam Altman's been having recently with the government about you should regulate OpenAI and you should regulate Google and you should, if anyone gets any large language models that are stronger than GPT-4, like if you get to GPT-5 or actual AGI, those should be licensed, like you have to license nuclear power plants. So he's talking about that, but what he's also saying in those conversations is you shouldn't regulate the small AI companies because they need to be free to innovate. Because basically all the small AI companies are gonna take the models that these guys, Google and Anthropic and this new company that just got funded, and OpenAI, they're gonna take those models and they're gonna build a whole economy on top of these models that these guys build. And that he's saying those guys shouldn't be regulated. So I think the competition is going to be insane and wild and creative and innovative. But which of those companies can actually maintain that competitive advantage? I don't have a fucking clue. So it seems, what was that? All the corporate empires hold the strings. Not with the open source thing anymore. Go look at the open source large language model projects. Go read that article. We have no moat. It's not really an article. It's like a leaked internal post from Google. It's pretty interesting. I want to learn as much as I can. More than anything, I've been like just like a like a crackhead with this stuff for the past 6 months, and I don't see it stopping. I feel like it's actually really important, at least for me personally, but I think it's important for a lot of people. Get yourself as educated as you can on what these things make possible, and how they align with your skill sets and like what you can make them do. Because if you can take what you're good at and figure out how to use these tools, whether it's Midjourney or ChatGPT or one of these video tools or one of the music writing tools, if you're good at that shit, there's going to be a place for you in the workplace, and probably, an elevated place for you in the workplace. So like, I feel like the investment's relatively low because these tools are simple right now. Learn as much as you can, and I think it's going to pay dividends for anyone that does it. That's why I'm here. That's why this channel exists. Is that option in the chat .open AI? Is what option? is the code interpreter. It might be. I mean, code interpreter is going to be in chat.openai.com. So what you get in chat.openai.com, that's ChatGPT's official website. If you pay for GPT Plus, you get GPT-4, GPT-4 connected to the internet, and GPT-4 with plugins. And then plugins are basically like, there's a plugin store. There's almost 600 of them now. They're just little extensions to ChatGPT that sort of connect it to the internet in very specific ways. That's essentially what it is. But you also get early access to whatever other technologies are coming. So we know this one's coming called Code Interpreter. That's this really powerful tool. So those are the things that are available there. But I don't quite know what you're asking. So if you clarify that, I'm happy to do it. I know investors, we should talk. All right, connect with me, Becky, on, like, go to my profile. My contact info's in there, or you can just, DM me on TikTok here. We'll set up a time to talk. Be interested to speak with you. Sounds to me like I can try to make comics by AI, writing plus images. Yeah, go look at, there's the copyright office. There's a woman that did a graphic novel in the last year that the copyright office said the book is copyrightable, but the images aren't, or something like that. It's worth looking into whether or not you can copyright it. But if you just want to create it and put it out there and you're not as worried about all the copyright stuff, I would just go ahead and experiment with it. If you really want to lock that shit down, go read up on what's happening with the copyright office right now. Right now, they're basically saying if the machine created it, it's not copyrightable. My question to the copyright office is, where's the boundary between the machine created it and I created it? So if I take a photo with my digital camera and I open that in Photoshop and it's this big and I use generative fill to fill out something that's this big, but it's my image in the middle, at what point is that image not my image? Is it 10% bigger, 50% bigger, 80% bigger? That's AI generated? I don't know. Like a lot of the work that I'm seeing that people are putting out in the world is kind of hybrid work between their work product and AI work product. And when you have hybrid stuff like that, I think what's going to end up happening is the Copyright Office is going to start to set standards of, here's what it looks like to be human created, and here are where those boundaries are. Those boundaries don't exist right now. They're like, if it's AI, it ain't copyrightable. Those boundaries aren't clear to me, and I think they're going to get less and less and less clear over time. So, but yes, you can absolutely go create a graphic novel or a comic right now. The IP lawsuit will never succeed. The argument is college degrees are earned via published books. I totally agree. Listen, I'm not saying that any of these copyright and trademark lawsuits are valid. Like, I totally agree. Like, if I go to art school and I study pop art and I love Andy Warhol and I graduate college and I go to a bunch of art that looks like Andy Warhol's, like, that's just shit I learned and that's my style. And some of the foundations for these artists, like I think Keith Haring's is one. He's got a really specific look. They're suing the shit out of people. So anyone can sue anyone in America. So I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits, but I think ultimately this will kind of normalize, kind of like music sampling did. It'll take some amount of years and people will be pissed off, but it'll normalize at some point. Actually, they're not investors, they're funders, and they don't want to own a percentage of your company. Oh, that's interesting. All right. Yeah, happy to talk about that. You can own 50% copyright. Prompts aren't copyrightable. I don't know why you'd want to copyright prompts. I guess if you wanted to sell them. There's a website right now, prompt base. Is that it? That they're selling prompts. I think that's kind of ridiculous because I think prompts are going to drift into the background ultimately. It's good to learn them right now. It's good to understand how these tools work, what they're good at, what they're not good at. But I think ultimately prompting drifts into the background. Collage is not copyrightable in most cases. Interesting. Thank you for the roses. Olu2533. Cheers. some fresh agua. Hey, you want to hear something crazy? So I live in Denver, and the first 6 months of 2023, Denver has gotten more rain than Seattle. That's never happened before in history. It's an El Nino. We just exited a La Nina and we've entered an El Nino. And I think there's just a giant hose from the Pacific Ocean coming over the Rocky Mountains, apparently. But yeah, Denver's gotten more rain in the first 6 months of 2023 than Seattle. Fucking insane. Prompt AI, I think. Oh, interesting. Okay. The princess. Oh, okay. You're talking to each other. Cool. Can we see the back? Yes. Sorry about that. Okay. So if you're new here, we've got some new people here. My name's Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. These URLs behind my head, what are they? Why do I have these here? I'm not related to these in any way. The top three are just basically variations on ChatGPT. The top one is ChatGPT, chat.openai.com. That's the official ChatGPT website. If you've not played with it, go there now. Just go and start playing with it. Prompts.chat is a little tutorial document that'll teach you how to do prompting and give you a whole bunch of ideas to just go play there. So just go play and do parlor trick, what I call parlor tricks. Have it write you poems and songs and tell it to create a table that compares two different topics you know about. Have it write you code. Just start to see what this thing is and how it's different than Google, because it kind of looks like a Google search box and you're like, oh, it's just like fancy Google. It ain't fancy Google. It's profound, right? But you got to dig deep enough. What's interesting about ChatGPT is if you give it a generic, concise prompt, it'll give you back shitty answers. If you give it really specific, high context, I want you to act like a, special mathematician in this branch of mathematics, and I want you to help me learn about this branch. But if you give it a lot of context, it gets really good. It's like the harder you push it, the better it gets. So that's that. Bing.com is also ChatGPT, but it's on Microsoft's search engine, Bing. So if you click on the chat button here, that's actually GPT-4, and it's connected to the internet. So you got to pay for GPT-4 with these guys. You get it for free with Microsoft. And then Poe.com gives you access to 6 different ChatGPT models from different companies. And there's some cool stuff there. And there's also a bunch of bots there that you can make your own bot. Like I've made a Shakespeare bot. I made an Emily Dickinson bot. I've made a bunch of bots. You can make bots. It's fun. Prompts.chat will teach you about prompting. And then Futurepedia.io is a big directory of AI tools. So, all right. Thank you for the very valuable info. You're welcome. Saves me a lot of time stumbling around. There is so much bullshit right now. It's why I'm doing this channel. I will change out these URLs. By the way, I'm not affiliated with these in any way. I'm not getting any money from them. I'll change these out when I think it makes sense, like when there's some other tool that you should be playing with. But I think right now, if you're new to AI, just ChatGPT. Just go there, start playing with it, start learning it. Start using it for other people. Start using it to solve problems for yourself, and you'll see there's some gold in them there hills. Some gold in them there hills. You know what I mean, Buck? You know what I mean? I don't know about this AI stuff. Ain't the robots gonna kill us? Ain't the robots gonna? I'm pretty sure I saw a movie once where the robots. I think they called it an AI. And the AI killed all the people. I think that's what these are. So I wouldn't touch them. I wouldn't go there. Don't be that guy. Because he talks weird, for one thing. He's got a friend named Buck. All right. Now I'm going to get hate mail from people who have friends named Buck. I meant that author tool you mentioned. The author tool doesn't do comics. It does, but you could modify the author tool to do comics. But you'd have to geek out a lot. But what it writes right now is a fiction novel. And then it does the cover with Stable Diffusion. So it does the cover graphic, and their prompt for their cover graphic kind of sucks, because The two books that I did, the covers that it produced were like, you could sort of see where it was going, but it had nothing to do with the title, and like it just wasn't good. So I would, I think it doing a cover right now is a gimmick. If they got their prompting better, it would be interesting. And you could probably pretty easily modify that to make a graphic novel, to at least write the text of a graphic novel and describe what the images are. But I'd go play with it. It's called GPT Author, and that's one of those things where keep going back and checking with that project, because that's one that they'll probably update that thing a lot, and it's going to get better and better and better. I'm one of your students. I started yesterday. Very cool. Students in what? In this? This is welcome to to Old Guy University. Where are you learning? I don't know. Some old guy on TikTok. What's he charging you? Seems to be free. But anyway, cheers. I actually did a class today with a bunch of guys that I work with doing automations on Zapier. And it was really fun. Really, really fun. Can you tell ChatGPT? There's Emilio's wife. Hello there. Can you tell ChatGPT to only use certain sources like math profs, not the students? So Dr. J, what you're talking about, there's actually there's a dude named Andrej Karpathy, who's one of the founders of ChatGPT, of OpenAI. And he was speaking at the Microsoft Developer Conference, and he used that exact example to explain why having ChatGPT act like a certain persona works. And so I'll explain it to you the best I understood it. I'm dramatically paraphrasing what Andrej Karpathy was talking about. So I might not have some of the pieces right, but this is the basic concept. So the way large language models work, and the metaphor that I've come up with is, imagine the Grand Canyon is full of words, okay? So they took these large language models, they trained it on all of the internet, right? And so it looked at all of the words on all of the internet, and it put it into this basically mathematical formula called a vector space, which, like an XY coordinate thing where you plot numbers on an XY coordinate. It's like that, only instead of 2 dimensions, it's thousands of dimensions. So just imagine this massively complicated mathematical space that's all these semantic clusters of words. So you might have the word dog. In this cluster, it means it's a fuzzy animal you keep in your house. And in this cluster of words, it means it's a guy that did his girlfriend wrong, right? He's a dog, right? So it sort of knows all the words, and it's got all these sort of semantic clusters. So when you say, here's a math problem, I want you to solve it, it's kind of like you're in a helicopter above the Grand Canyon and you're really high up, and it's looking at all of the Grand Canyon. So you're seeing all of the words, and you're seeing all of the possible semantic areas. And exactly what you said there, what Karpathy said in this talk to Microsoft was, in all of those clusters, the professor that solved that problem correctly, that's going to be in there. And then all the students who didn't solve that problem correctly are also going to be in there. So if your helicopter's too high, it's basically going to average in all of those math problems and give you some sort of answer. There's a good chance it's going to be wrong because it pulled in the student stuff as well. But if you say, I want you to act like a Stanford mathematics professor that specializes in this branch of mathematics, and I want you to help solve this thing, what you're essentially doing is lowering your helicopter into one of the side canyons that's just, about Stanford professor mathematics, and your chances of getting that thing go up dramatically. So great question, and that's exactly how it works. And that's why, so this prompts.chat thing is really just a long list of act like a certain kind of, act like a novelist, act like a mathematician, act like a sommelier, act like a gardener. And that's exactly what it's doing, is it's narrowing that semantic region so that your answers are more accurate. And also GPT-4 is much better at not hallucinating, telling lies, than GPT 3.5. I was asking you to lead me to the author tool you mentioned. It's called GPT Author. Let me go see. It should be on GitHub. GPT Author. With no space. Hold, please. Let me go find it. I'm going to go to Google Colab. It's GPT-author. Hold, please. GPT-author AI. Okay, there's a Medium article here. Hang on. I'm going to flip my camera around so you can see this. Because it's a fun tool. It's a fun tool to play with. You have to dig through getting it set up on Google Colab, but I'll show you how that works. So it's a Medium article, GPT Author, a constrained AI tool for generating instant fantasy novels. So go search for GPT-author and AI, and this will come up, this Medium article. And then it will link you over to the GitHub link. So the GitHub link is GPT-author. M. Schumer. GitHub.com/mschumer-GPT-author. Now, is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. So I've got one that's a copy of GPT Author version 1.1. I would assume that that's probably higher than that right now. But the way Google Colab works is you have these little cells that have little play buttons, and the play buttons are actually running code and like loading libraries and stuff like that. So like, see how it's twirling there, and then it'll get a little green check mark when it's done. See, it's like doing some shit. It's installing some things. This is running on my Google Drive. It's Google Colab. So I ran that cell. It's got the code in it, and then the next cell I run it, and it's it'll do its thing. Building a wheel for Google Trans, whatever that is. That gave it a check mark. Now I'm choosing my primary language. And then here, this version that I have, you type in your author, the prompt itself, like what do you want the story to be about? What's the writing style? So those are your inputs. And that's all you have to input. Like, what's your story about? What's the writing style? And then you keep running these cells. And is this the last one? No, it's not. This is sort of loading the prompts. And I think, is this the one? No. So this section with all these codes in it, these are all the prompts that write all the chapters. So this is where you could modify, like all the things in red here are all the prompts that write the book. And then the final thing, book writing, is hit play. And now it's going to start writing my book. So that's kind of how Colab works, is you've got these cells with code in them that people that are geekier than me wrote. And then you hit the play buttons on the cells, and occasionally it will screw up, and then you can go to ChatGPT and have it help you debug why it's screwed up. And what the other cool thing this does is, as it's doing each of the steps, it's telling you how much they cost. So it's calculating the cost from OpenAI. So this is Each step here is about a third of a cent, a fourth of a cent, a third of a cent, a tenth of a cent. Generating storyline with chapters and high-level details. So basically now it's going through and writing a book. So it's just absolutely insane. And this is like that thing of it having all these steps in it, and basically I just say I want you to write a book kind of like this. It'll just go do that. There are all sorts of crazy fireworks going on right now, or we're being attacked in Denver. I don't know what's going on Friday night. Oh, maybe it's a ball game. It's a 4th of July weekend for a ball game or something. Maybe the Rockies won. All right. So hopefully that helps. Let me turn on my little secret background here. Is someone there? No. What is the most fun thing you can think of with using AI? Right now, for me, it's being with people when they have this moment. That's why I do this. For me, it's all about the possibility of. I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of this is evil, it's not perfect, it's going to fuck everyone's job up. Like, it's really easy to go into a negative place with it. And what I'm finding is the more I dig into it, the less it feels like that. The more hopeful I feel. Like, the more I learn, the more hopeful I feel because I see what it makes possible. And so for me, it's not any specific thing. It's that journey. It's the curiosity and the exploration and imagining what the future could be like if this bends in a positive direction. And I think that every person, every individual right now that gets curious about this and bends it even slightly in a positive direction will have a disproportionately positive impact on the trajectory of AI. So I think that's it. Like, I get really philosophical about this stuff because there's a couple of things. I think we are incredibly lucky to live at a time when we get to play with tools this powerful. There has never been anything in the history of humanity that's been remotely close to as powerful as what that is. It's like a humanity amplifier. It's like a humanity reflector. If you think about what that is, it was trained up on all of the internet. So think about all of the data and content that's been jammed into the internet for the past 30, 40, 50 years. It all got sucked up. It all got vacuumed into that tool. And now we can play with it. Okay. Oh, there is someone over there. Hang on, I'll be right back. What are you doing?
Listening to the fireworks. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah, okay. That was crazy. Those fireworks were nuts, weren't they? I was like, is there someone over there? There was. So for me, that's it. Someone asked about futurepedia.io. That is, just go there. It's a directory of I think it's like 3,700 tools now. That like a bunch more get added every day. Most of the AI tools right now are just horrific pieces of shit. So just know that out of the 3,700 tools there's probably 200 that are good. But the 200 that are good are going to be profound, right? So you're going to have to sift through some crap. It's like finding an app in the Android store. It's 98% shit. There's gonna be a lot of that for a while with this stuff because everyone's so excited about it. I got an idea for an app. Oh, ChatGPT wrote it for me. Let me put that out in the world. Oh, it's a horrific piece of shit. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that. Yeah, I that's fun for me right now is like future gazing with AI. Does 100 pounds of flour make a big biscuit? You sound like Ross Perot. Does 100 pounds of flour make a biscuit? That's a Gen X joke. Nobody knows who Ross Perot is anymore. Where is the fiction tool? I just showed it. I'm not doing comics. Lol. I thought you said comics, but maybe not. Maybe I misread. He answers questions. I do. Can someone catch me up? Just got here. Hey, Ann, how's it going? Kyle, can you host workshops? I can. I've thought about it. I keep thinking about it. I don't want to host one if it's shitty. So, amazing how incredible new discoveries we can learn can open opportunities. Okay, cool. I'll be checking that out. How does AI categorize the data correctly? I.e., it really comes from a processor of mathematics. Yeah, I can. If you guys want me to show you, I can actually show you how it works. I've got a slide that I did for a presentation on how ChatGPT works. When you understand how it works, it's even more insane that it does what it does. Thank you for sharing your brain with us. If you want me to do that, I'm happy to share it to show you how it works. He's talking AI. He answers questions. I know, but which subject? I'm just answering stuff. Okay, hang on. I'll be back.
I'll do that.
Well, like, does he need me for a long time?
Yeah, he wants you to take your sheets off and change them.
I'll do that later. Let me finish.
Okay. I'll tell him.
All right, I'm back. I gotta go soon. Got family duties. All right. This is great. Will you make this video available so we can rewatch it and learn more? So here's the good news. I found out 3 days ago that all of these lives are actually recorded, and it makes little snippets of them, and I've been posting them to my channel, and I'll be able to download all these videos. So I will probably start a YouTube channel or a playlist, and I'll put all these up there. So at some point I will. They're a bit rambly right now, so I don't know the value of that, but we'll see. So I don't know that I'd want to watch whatever the fuck I'm talking about for 2 hours because I tend to stay on here a lot and I don't really know what I say. But I'll go take a look at them. So at some point I'll do that, yeah, and I'll think about doing a workshop. I just need to figure out like what's the model, where do I do it, what's the topic, things like that. Looking at it glass half full, I agree. I've started using it a lot more over the weeks since watching your stream. Before this, about 6 months ago, I thought it was just Google. It's so fucking deceptive. It looks like it's just Google, and then you see someone, it writes a poem, and you're like, oh, it's fancy Google. And it's not until you go, well, wait a minute, what's something I do? I'm a project manager. And then you type in, give me a project plan for blah, blah, blah. Out it comes. And you go. That's the best fucking moment. That's the thing that makes me happiest is watching that. I had it happen with a 10-year-old kid who literally went like this. When he looked at me and goes, this changes everything. It's crazy. It really is crazy. Who created this? I don't know what. Created what? Is there an AI platform that can create characters for a book? Visual characters? Mid-Journey and Stable Diffusion can. It's a little problematic to get that character to repeat consistently in different locations. There's ways to do it, but it's really complicated. So, but yeah, if you want to do initial character development for a book, you can absolutely do that. Mid-Journey is the one that I would recommend. You have to generate your images on Discord. So to use Mid-Journey, you have to learn Discord, and then you have to learn how to use Mid-Journey within Discord. And if you've ever seen Discord, which is just like geekier version of Slack, you're like, why are they doing that there? And that is the right question. But it's the best. And then if you want to use Stable Diffusion, you need a computer science degree. Not really, but you got to be able to run notebooks and do some geeky stuff to install it. All right. Is there an AI platform? Okay, that one I just answered. AI to build advanced. What was that? Advanced technology sounds great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so here's part of the challenge of where the technology is right now, especially with this generative AI stuff. The new stuff, like in the last 6 months, is it's so powerful that you can see glimpses of what it's going to be, and you're like, oh, this is going to totally transform whatever, project management or programming or whatever. And then when you actually go to implement it, it's like 90% brilliant and 10% like, it's not quite right. That last 10% is like if you've ever remodeled a house, it's like getting to 90%. We're pretty much on track. That last 10% takes you like 4 years. I think that's what's going on with AI right now, that it's really easy to get conceptual stuff close, but then to get it to actually be good software, that's going to take a while. I like your personality. Please host a workshop. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I will. Okay. All right. I'll put one together. I got to figure out what it is, how long it is. Is it like multi-weeks? How deep do we go? Is it just, basic shit? I don't know. Here's my request to anyone that's here that wants a workshop is connect with me on TikTok here and DM me and just say, if I were to do a workshop, what would you want it to focus on? What would you want it to be? Maybe I can get some input, because I don't want to just put something out there and have it be a waste of anyone's time. He has to do a workshop. Fine, I'll do a workshop. That'll be helpful. Please don't discount the value. This information is awesome. Great. Well, I always discount everything because shame is my love language. It's the way it is. Don't overthink. Immediate practical Zoom. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. I'll do that. I'll put something together. I don't think you're rambling. This is hard to understand because it's at its infancy. Yeah, it really is. I'm all about a workshop. Okay, great. Workshop. That seems to be a theme emerging in the comments. Can I make a professional logo for my company with AI? You can. There's some issues with logo stuff. So doing things in Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, it's just generating bitmap images. It's not generating vector images, right? And if you just like, what I would say is this: what you can do in Midjourney with logo development is you can concept brilliantly, but if you really want to like tie in a logo and get the typography right, like it won't do typography at all. Like these things don't do typography at all. The image itself you could probably do quite well, but in the end you're going to have to hand that to a designer to really turn that into vector and fine tune it and things like that. It depends how anal you want to get with the branding. But yeah, you can. What I would recommend with that is go to, if you're on Facebook, look up the Midjourney official group on Facebook, and then within that group, look for logo development, and you'll find a whole bunch of people doing it, and probably within there you'll find a whole bunch of prompts. The other thing to do with Midjourney is because it's on Discord, there's a whole community there, and there's all these different channels. So there's probably a channel within Midjourney. Actually, let me go look. There's probably a channel within Midjourney on like logo development, or, let's see, abstract characters, image prompts, group jams. Yeah, no, I don't see anything specific to logo development. But there's a show and tell, there's paintovers, there's image jams, there's prompt FAQs, ideas and features. So that's so within the Midjourney Discord, there's lots and lots of things. You can also join the AI Salon that I created. If you go to the salon.ai, in fact, let me put this up behind me here. This, if you go to that URL, that's a link tree to a community that I've created of AI enthusiasts and things like that. We meet every other week. There's a Discord server where you can geek out and ask questions, but I would do that. So you can definitely do that. Yeah, I made a logo, but it doesn't like letters. Shameless works. Are there any certifications you know about that generally proves you know a lot about AI? Not right now. Well, okay, two different flavors of AI. There's pre-ChatGPT AI and there's post. That's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. Pre-ChatGPT, you're talking about machine learning and AI and things like that. If you're an engineer and you want to go more on the technical side, that's a whole different conversation. And you should have engineering background and understand models and neural networks and shit like that. If you're talking post-ChatGPT, if there are certificates, they're not worth anything, because anything you learn right now is going to be worthless 6 months from now, because everything's changing so fast. What I think is a really good best practice right now is get really curious about this stuff. Get as good as you can about it and start posting what you're learning. Start sharing what you're learning. If people at work are curious about what you're doing, say, hey, do you want to learn something? Sit down. I'll sit down with you for an hour. I'll teach you how to do it. Start putting yourself out there that you're learning about this AI stuff, that you're doing it. Demonstrating that you've got some acuity with this stuff is the certification right now. That's how early we are. A year or two from now, there's going to be, decent courses and things like that. But right now, everything's in flux. Everyone's trying to figure out what the fuck this thing is, how it works, how you do it well, how you get it not to hallucinate, what the hell hallucination even means, all that sort of stuff. So I think it's on individuals right now to get curious about it and start teaching. One of the people that was in here in the lives she set a goal for herself to teach 1,000 people about AI. And in doing that, she's now doing workshops and things for corporations at like 10 grand a clip. So just go. Just go. Am I an educator or teacher? I am an ex-actor. I'm actually a founder and CEO of a video technology company called Storyvine, and I haven't done any formal teaching, but I'm really passionate about this stuff, and I think I'm passionate about demystifying it, because it drives me fucking crazy when I hear people demonize it or diminishing it without having tried it. It makes me insane, because this shit's profound. It's going to change everything. It's going to change everything. It's going to change the definition of work. It's going to change the value of what we do and how we contribute. It's going to change the economy. It's going to change businesses. And it's coming a shitload faster than I think anyone's prepared for. And so I'm just super passionate about, someone was on the live last night. He's like, is all you talk about ChatGPT? For now, because the thing that sits at that URL is so profoundly powerful, I could talk about it for the next decade and not wear it out. I don't understand what it is or how deep it goes at all. At all. At all. I've barely scratched the surface. Are there 8,000 other things to learn? Yeah, that's why I put this URL here. If you want to geek out on all the other shit, but understanding just the basics of what large language models are and what they do and what they make possible and how they're going to change your job and your job and your job. That's what I think anyone who doesn't do that is going to get blindsided by this thing, and it's going to be really fucking painful, and that makes me very sad. I don't want it, but it's coming, and so I want as few people as possible to be hit by that tidal wave. Let me do a couple more questions here. I'll do another 10 minutes or so. That was you, Ann. That's cool. Yeah, the goal of teaching 1,000 people, far out. Yes, that. Fucking awesome. What's the elevator pitch for AI? That's interesting. Well, so I wouldn't call it AI. So there's just ChatGPT. That's really interesting. All this stuff is more machine learning than AI. ChatGPT is the word version, but like the it's a great question. The transformer model. Hang on, my dog's being loud. The transformer model that Google invented in 2017 is kind of the foundation for all of the tools that we're playing with right now. So ChatGPT, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, the video things, the medical things, all the shit that's happening right now is because of this thing called the transformer. So they're taking these machine learning models, they're basically pointing them at massive data sets, and then when you point it at like radiology images, it gets really good at reading x-rays. And when you point it at brain scans, it understands what the brain is seeing. And when you point it at all of the words on the internet, it fucking understands all of the words. And when you do it with pictures, it understands all of that. Or it doesn't understand it. It lets you create it with that. Okay, so the elevator pitch. The thing I've been saying recently is it's a humanity amplifier, or it's like a talent accelerator, or it's a like I keep going back to, there's a quote from Arthur C. Clarke that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It's that. It's that. When you like here, watch this. Like I've done this a lot, and every time I do it, it still blows my fucking mind. All right, here's ChatGPT. We're just using GPT 3.5. Write a Python application that calculates the navigation for a rocket to land on the moon. I don't even know if it's possible that it can do that. So, calculating the navigation for a rocket to land on the moon involves complex calculations and considerations. While I can provide you with a simple example of a Python application, please note that the actual moon landing navigation requires sophisticated algorithms and data, right, that go beyond import math. So it imports a library. Then it's like, it's got the moon's radius, it's got the moon's gravity, it's got total latitude and longitude. If you're an actual astrophysicist, this is probably comically simple. But if you're someone like me that has no fucking clue how I would even begin to approach this, I at least can look at this and go, okay, I understand at least what they're trying to do there. Let's say, write a subroutine that will orbit the moon 3 times before landing. Can it do that? Yeah, apparently. I mean, and I mean, the thing about code is you can run it, right? So is that code correct? I don't know. It's probably got mistakes in it. There's probably libraries missing. It's probably oversimplified. It's probably not great. I know that if you do code 3 times in a row, it'll take 3 different approaches. But probably within an hour, I could get some sort of simulation working with some sort of rocketry simulator, which it will tell me exists, and put that code in it, and it will do something. That's fucking miraculous. And that's a teeny sliver of something. It does the same shit with language. Have it write you Shakespeare like stuff. It can do that. Have it write you in the style of Mary Shelley. Have it write you a marketing plan. Have it write you tweets and social media copy. It's like it's just this limitless hole of possibility. And it's just like it's just one tool that in the next 3 to 5 years is going to get increasingly sophisticated. It's going to be multimodal. Like right now, it just does text. It's going to be able to spit out images and then animations and then films and then music. And then it's going to connect to all the shit that you're connected to. And you're going to give it permission to access your bank and your travel accounts and your grocery shit and your this and your that. And you're just going to like, this is like Jetson shit. You just talk it and it will go do things for you. Like, that's where we're going. Yeah. So back to what's the elevator pitch for AI? I have no answer for you. That was not an elevator pitch. That was a fucking diatribe. I think it's a humanity amplifier. I think it takes who we are and what we've done and repackages it so that every single person can tap into that genius. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's a great question with a shitty answer. What application allows to go beyond the text restrictions of GPT? Well, so with plugins, you can go beyond the text restrictions. Here, let me show you another thing. This is actually quite simple what it's doing, but this is going beyond GPT. The text restrictions of there's a couple of them. Okay, so we're gonna play with some plugins now. So if you haven't played with plugins on ChatGPT, the way it works is you go to GPT-4. If you've paid for the Plus thing and you've enabled your beta services, you can play with plugins. So I'm going to go to plugins, and when you play with plugins, you have this little drop down menu, and here's the ones I have installed. And then in any session, I can turn on up to 3. So I'm going to turn on Instacart. I'm going to say, make me a meal plan that looks like dog food but is healthy. I don't know. You should also be having fun as you do this. It sounds like you're looking for a meal plan that might resemble the appearance of dog food, but is actually healthy. All right, scrambled tofu and vegetables, lentil stew. This is good. Ground turkey vegetable skillet. And then you'll notice what it did down here. Would you like me to create a shopping list for these meals on Instacart? And I'm going to say, sure. And now what it's going to do is it's going to fire off the Instacart plugin. And it's going to take my little meal plan and turn that into a shopping list. And it's going to give me the hyperlink to the shopping list. So this is all text, but now it's going to pop me over to Instacart. And there's all of my ingredients for my dog food meal plan, right? And those could be on my porch within the hour. So there's one. There's also a plugin. I haven't played with this one very much, so I don't know it, but let me turn off this one. There's a plugin here called Show Me Diagrams. I'm going to say create a flow chart of the House of Representatives, or no, let's say of the U.S. Senate, because it's smaller. And that should fire off that show me diagram thing, and it will go, I assume what it's doing in the background is doing some sort of search of something. Mermaid graph. So it pulled a graph in. Oh, there you go. So there's voters, states, electors, bills. You can view this diagram in a new tab. So there's the diagram in a new tab. So it's remedial right now, but and then there's other things in there. There's hooks into stable diffusion, things like that. So right now, all of these tools are very, very remedial, but there's ways that you can kind of, fake what they're where they're headed, where they're going to be. So I don't know if that actually did what you wanted it to do, but but it's free. This is a free class. What application? Okay, we just did that one. Microsoft has a certification for teachers. I can send you the link, Mark. Cool. 500 nonprofit fundraisers trained on ChatGPT so far this summer. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. This is going to change philanthropy. It's going to change fucking everything. It's going to change everything. It really is. It's going to change everything. All right. I'm going to do 2 more questions and then I got to go. I got to go deal with the kids, the dog, the wife, all of it. Got to go deal. Got life. Life's not just TikTok. You can't just TikTok your life away. What'd you do Friday night? I don't know. Some old guy on TikTok. Weren't you listening to him last night? Shut up. Can you show the slides you mentioned about how ChatGPT is built? Yeah. Okay. So, all right. I'll try to do this quick. This is how ChatGPT works. It's staggering. It's staggering how it works. It's like the more you understand about it, the more wild it is when you see what it actually does. The Great Renaissance, which is that date. This was sort of the money slide from this presentation I gave. So I gave this talk at this thing called Creative Mornings and compared the early days of the web to the early days of generative AI. And this is the date that changes everything, in my opinion. And we are entering a new age of like dramatic human productivity and creativity. And this was the slide I did on how ChatGPT works. So let me make this a little smaller so we can see it. All right. So how this stuff works. So this gets a little geeky, but I think it's worth it. Okay. So first is, what does GPT stand for? GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformer. So generative meaning it's generating something. It's generating original content. I'll show you how. That's what this is all about. Pre-trained means it's been pre-trained. You don't need to provide it with data. It's a large language model that's been pre-trained on all of the internet. And then transformer is the technology. So transformer is the technology that Google invented that allows these models to be trained on massive amounts of data. So this is the thing that Sam Altman discovered. The more data they threw at it and the more GPUs they threw at it, the better it got. So GPT-3 and 4 are as good as they are because of that recognition that you can basically overload these systems with massive amounts of data, and then it compresses them into these very small, usable things that we get to play with. Large language model, that's what these things are called in general. The large language model is these big models trained on this that we can interact with. Then there's this thing called the latent space. And the latent space, this is a dramatically oversimplified representation of it. But think of this as an XY coordinate, like a two-dimensional grid, XY coordinate. Each of these little clusters of dots are mathematical vectors of, semantically related words. Now, it's not actually the words in the database. It's just the numbers. So it's the numbers in this case, it's a two-dimensional space. The real space is thousands of dimensions. It's incredibly complicated and incredibly profound. But for this example, it's that simple. Okay. And then how this stuff works is that when you put in a prompt, it turns it into a mathematical weight or mathematical probability that then goes and looks at all of the words in what's called the latent space and says, based on that prompt, which is the next most probable word to fit in that sentence? And then it does that over and over and over again. So it's almost identical to when you're looking at, you're typing in Google and they have that autocomplete at the end of a sentence that it sort of finishes your sentences for you. It's like that, only way more intense. So if I type in the prompt, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy blank, we all know that's dog, but how this system does that is it says it takes that and then turns that into a mathematical formula that then generates a probability and basically says, okay, in all this latent space, all these other clusters are not relevant, but these light blue ones here, you can't really see them on there, but there's light blue ones there, are most probable. And one of those that says 96%, that little dot there, one of those is the most likely. And if you look at what that actually is, it's a big long string of numbers. It's a vector. And then that long string of numbers is tied in a database to a word. And that word is dog in this case. And then the thing puts dog into that sentence. And it does that over and over and over. So when you see it write like a 3-page story in 30 seconds or in 3 seconds, it's doing what I just showed you, word after word after word. So it's truly writing original content word by word just based on probability. This is why it hallucinates, because what we experience is it writes something that looks coherent, right? We look at it and we're like, oh my God, it's like, how does it know that, right? All it's doing, it's just a calculator. That's the next word. That's the next word. It's got no awareness of what it actually wrote. So when it writes something wrong, if it's got too much crap in its latent space, it'll just write in bullshit confidently. It's like, you asked me for this. This is the next most probable shit. You're like, that's not even close. That's why it hallucinates. So anyway, hopefully that explains it. And that's a good thing to end on. Let's see here. I'll pop up these URLs here at the end so you can see those. I'll just scooch out of the way. Let me see if there's any comments here. Da, 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 da. Thanks. I needed a pitch to reach people. Asked ChatGPT to write a Shakespearean sonnet for me. Nice. Elevator pitch for a very tall building. Yeah, that was not an elevator pitch. I failed on that one, but whatever. Sounds like most English food, according to my non-English partner. That's hilarious. Man, the first time I went to London, I'm like, what the fuck is with the food? Because I was living in New York at the time. I was like, really? Like, people pay for this? That's exactly my diet. All right, you're a fun bunch. All right, listen, I got to run. I hope this was helpful. It was a pleasure. Have a great Friday night. Peace out, everybody. I'll think about a workshop. If you would, just pop in what you'd like me to do it on. I'll think about that. I'll figure out a way to do it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a 4-week thing or I don't know. I will think about it. It's a good idea. So, appreciate it. Have a good one, everybody.